Oh God, I've never done this before. Welcome. Welcome to my review of Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I'm here to review Gillian Flynn's Dark Places. Not so much a review as a stream of consciousness. I just finished reading this book and wanted to talk about it. And today I have Princess with me. She is a leopard gecko and I love her very much, and she needs some handling time. So this is gonna be it. I think I'm gonna read to you the back of the book. Libby Day was 7 when her mother and 2 sisters were murdered in Satan sacrifices of Kankakee, Kansas. She survived and famously testified that her 15-year-old brother, Ben, was the killer. 25 years later, the Kill Club, a secret society obsessed with notorious crimes, locates Libby and pumps her for details. They hope to discover proof that may free Ben. Libby hopes to turn a profit off her tragic history. She'll reconnect with the players from that night and report her findings to the club for a fee. As Libby's search takes her from shabby Missouri strip clubs to abandoned Oklahoma tourist towns, the unimaginable truth emerges, and Libby finds herself right back where she started, on the run from a killer. So that last line happens at the very end of the book. I think this is labeled as mystery thriller, but it's more mystery than thriller. The thrilling parts happens like when there's about 30 or so pages left in the book. I didn't really go into it expecting like action thriller kind of thing. And the truth is I actually started it last year, and I've been reading this book for like a year now actually. It's partly because I have been in this reading drought. I have not been reading a lot, and this was kind of my attempt last year at getting back into it. It starts very slow, and the mystery is not something that the main character, Libby, is actually interested in herself. Libby is a bad person. She's not a great person, and she's very sure that her brother did it. She doesn't want to think about that night. She's kind of a kleptomaniac. She lives in like her little shitty apartment with a cat she doesn't really care about, and she seems depressed. She's just not a very nice main character. I really liked her. She develops a lot over the book, and I think it's really interesting how she develops. She doesn't necessarily turn into a great person with everything that happens, but she realizes that she wants to find out the truth of what happened that night, and the truth is interesting. I gotta say, the mystery is actually pretty interesting, but again, I feel like half the book was kind of setting up everything. It was a lot of introductions and just getting to know the characters and the events, and while it was interesting to learn about and everything, it wasn't as engaging. But there came a point like halfway through that I was just like, yeah, this is it, and I would need to know more. Hi, sorry. There's 3 points of view. There's Libby in the present day, there's Ben in the past, and then there's Patty, their mother, in the past. Each time you switch a point of view, you get closer and closer to what happened, and as it got closer to the murders, I just was like, I just wanted to happen. I was scared, but I was also just like, yes, because there's like a lot of unreliable narration. There's times when, you know, you see something happen and you're like, well, it sure seems like, you know, Ben did this thing, or you think one way, but then you hear something else from another character, and there's just like, he was telling the truth. And by the end, I knew kind of what happened, because there came a point where the narrative stopped trying to hide that night and like who exactly did it. There was just a point where, you know, yeah, you kind of knew, but you didn't know exactly until right when it showed you just what happened. And it does show you, and it's awful, and it's sad, and it's a very sad book. Like, reading the point of view of the mother who dies that night is just kind of really tragic. But I'm also very sensitive, so. And like, one of the main things I want to talk about that kept me reading is Gillian Flynn's writing style. This is the first book I ever read from her. I saw the movie Gone Girl and I loved it. It took a while to grow on me. Like, did I like it? Did I not? Did I hate it? I love it now, so I am very curious to read the rest of her books, so that's why I chose Dark Places first to read, because it sounded like something I would be most interested in. Am I not centered? I hope I'm centered. I chose Dark Places first because I hear a lot of good things about it, and I know there was a movie, I think, out. It's not very good from what I hear. Gillian Flynn's writing style is really appealing to me. It's very dark and grotesque. The way she describes things is through just how ugly it is. There's no pleasant descriptions of things. There's nothing too pretty in this world. Dark Places is just a lot of dark imagery. It's hard to explain just exactly what she does, but I think what she does is... I lost my train of thought there. So this will be edited around. Please, future me, I'm so sorry for losing my train of thought. Something I really like about her writing is that when she has a metaphor or she compares something or anything, her writing style, you instantly feel it. Like, it instantly clicks. It's not something that you have to turn around in your head and think about. Like, she just, it's understandable the moment she writes it, and you like, oh wow, that just like, it conjures an image up, and I wish I had examples. Again, this is just a stream of consciousness. I just finished this book and wanted to talk about it. Yeah, her writing is just really kind of raw and very, where are you going? And just very, it's not pleasing necessarily to read, but it's really good, and it really gets you like into that moment. I don't want to spoil too much in this. This is not going to be a spoiler heavy thing. I'm not going to say who done it or anything like that, and I don't even think that's necessarily like a big point of it. I think for Libby it was important for her just to know if she ended up throwing her brother in jail for nothing, but I think kind of sorting through her trauma and accepting what happened and trying to work through her history, something that she put into a box and shoved into the back of her life. She really needed to kind of address that, and I think it kind of handles a lot of that very, very well. Don't think the mystery, again, was very appealing to me at first because she didn't want to solve the mystery. She just wanted it to be Ben because she said it was Ben, and that was it. So I think I was just more interested in just like learning about the characters, because the characters were all very good and real. I think that was one of the best things about this book. It's very, very real, and I am not the kind of person that thinks that realism is the end-all be-all of anything. I actually don't like that as a concept. I think storytelling sometimes gets bogged down in being realistic when there's a reason that stories are not realistic sometimes, but the characters kind of feel just like real people, like you know them, and they don't feel like they're just a list of traits that Gillian Flynn wrote down and put on a piece of paper. They feel like you can sense the intent behind all their actions, you can understand them, even if you don't like them. None of these characters are very likable at all. I'm actually pretty fond of this book. I think it's going to get better for me the more I sit on it, which is probably why this kind of, review style isn't the best. It's like Gone Girl, I had to think on that for a while. Okay, so this might be that. I think the only thing like holding me back is just that for so long I just wasn't really getting into it until the moment halfway through that I did. I rated it 4 stars. I think it's just like, it's a good book, like flat out technically it's just a good book, and I enjoyed reading it. I don't think it could have been like faster paced. I don't think it's the kind of story that really needs to be that, but I do think that's what held me back for a bit. So if you are interested in dark mysteries from years ago, this is not a new book, but if you're interested in it and you can like really handle kind of like dark stuff and like dark imagery and violence and stuff like that, then this is it. This is damn good book, and I can't wait to read other Gillian Flynn books. She doesn't know what we're talking about. Right, princess? Bye.